Little Women 2019 is one of my favorite films of all time. It is written and directed by Greta Gerwig, and is an adaptation of the 1868 novel of the same name. Little Women is set in Concord, Massachusetts during the 19th century, and it chronicles the lives of the March sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. This film holds a special place in my heart, and it felt necessary to talk about it today. First, I'd like to get into the cinematography. The March sisters' lives flip back between the winter 1861 and the present and fall 1868. Film is visually stunning, and what really helps it is in 1861, the film has this really warm tone with these orange reddish colors, and in all the past scenes this really represents the comfort of childhood. Being a child, it almost feels like even when bad things are happening around you, that nothing can hurt you and that you're safe and you feel comfortable. And while watching the film, this warmer tone is supposed to make us feel more comfortable as viewers. It also shows what the four sisters see their childhoods are like as they're living them, and that while even bad things are going to happen around them, they still feel this safety and comfort in their lives, even if it isn't necessarily there sometimes. Sisters feel this childhood perspective that we've all felt at one point in time growing up. And when we flash forward to 1868, there's a cooler tone to the film that shows a much more harsh perspective on reality that the characters are living in. The past shows romance and adventure and hope. The present shows death, work, and disappointment at times. It's not to say the present time in the film is full of all this dark gloominess. There's both bad and good in the present and the past. It's just in the present the characters aren't blinded by these rose-tinted goggles that they were as children. As far as the cinematography goes also, Greta even said she wanted the shots that were set in the past to be swirly. Greta uses tone and color in a very simple but effective way here to show how the characters feel about their childhood compared to their present lives. Now we get into relationships and the characters. The characters and relationships in this film are what makes the film what it is. Each character has their own personal battle between what they think they want in the film and what they really want. I think I'll just go character by character here and just describe how they are throughout the film. We'll start off with Meg March, the oldest of the siblings. Meg's biggest weakness in the film is vanity. She dreams of marrying rich and returning to a life of luxury and glamour that the family just doesn't have. But slowly over time, she falls in love with a man who is not wealthy at all, and she realizes that wealth and status isn't the most important thing in life. By the end of the film, she is wealthy in love instead of something vain like money. Throughout the film, it takes her a while to realize that what she wanted overall was just love. Meg is the exact opposite of Jo in the film. Meg is just trying to marry a rich husband and live a very lavish life. Deep down, what she really wants, though, is a home and a family, and Meg's trial and tribulation throughout the film is loving herself for who she really is, while also trying to follow the pursuit of what it means to be a lady. In the film, Meg goes off on her own for a week to stay with this family that's holding a celebration. They're much higher status and class than Meg is, and the girls there try to dress Meg up in fancy clothes and makeup, and they even call her a different name. She's clearly uncomfortable by all this, but she kind of just goes along with it. And Lori actually ends up attending the celebration. Lori can tell right away that Meg really doesn't belong there and that she's much better than these other girls. While Meg, even though she clearly doesn't want to, she's trying to pretend like she belongs there and that she fits in with these other girls. And Lori even makes her upset by saying that he doesn't like fuss and feathers. Basically telling Meg that being a woman is much more than just the clothing and class you have. And this goes back to Meg needing to love herself more than she loves money and class and status. By the end of the film, she balances the responsibility and duty of being a woman and also loving herself. Next is Jo, who is our main protagonist and the second oldest sister. Jo is in love with the pursuit of knowledge and reading and writing, and she's kind of the rebel of the family. She is quick to anger, though, and very outspoken. She actually comes off as very self-centered throughout the film, even though she's also very likable in the film. Jo is very focused on becoming a writer, and it is her main passion in life. But with that, she forgets about love in a way, and forgets that it's also important in life. While Lori loves her, Joe clearly does not love him in that way back. But Joe actually gets her main source of love in the film through Beth. For most of the film, Joe pretends like love isn't a thing for her, but she has been getting it through Beth for most of the film. And in the film, Beth passes, and right after that, she goes straight to Lori. She wants him back because there's this gaping hole in her heart where it was once filled by Beth. Even someone like Joe, who goes against the social norms, needs love in their life. And at the end of the film, she also finds love in this other guy. And it seems cliche to get married and live happily ever after, but it's a cliche for a reason. While Joe thinks love and marriage is this economic proposition, until the end of the film, she finally figures out that it's about the beauty and romance of love. Love is much more than a societal standard, and eventually she realized that at the end of the film. And now we get to Beth March. Beth's main passion is music and playing the piano. Beth is very shy and quiet, but she is by far the kindest and nicest one of the sisters. She is a very simple character in the film, and during the film, she even contracts the scarlet fever. And I think she is specifically the sister that dies in the film, because during the present day time, when it has this cooler tone, it also represents this cooler world that's a little bit more bleak and harsh, and that she's too pure to survive it. At least in the film, her character does not have that much more depth than this, which is fine, but she's still a very important character in the film. And then last, we go to Amy. Amy's main passion is art. And in the flashbacks during the past, she is the most annoying sister by a lot, because she's the youngest one of the group, and she's even a little bit spoiled at times. But when we switch to the present day, there's this much more mature young woman that we see. Her idea of love is still very skewed in the present day. She's getting married to this man who she doesn't really love, but she's doing it for that wealth and status, kind of like what Meg thought love was meant to be like. Amy loves Lori, but she won't really give him the time of day because Lori loved Joe and even tried to propose to her, and Amy just wants the respect of Lori. Amy doesn't want to be second to her sister. Meeting her in the present, though, Lori does start to finally see her for who she is. Amy was just Joe's younger sister to him for a very long time, and Lori and Amy both, over time in the present, start to realize what they want in love and in a relationship they can get from each other. Amy needs to marry into wealth and status in the film, but she also wants this romantic type of love that Lori can give her, while also giving her the wealth and status she wanted. Even though emotionally, Joe and Lori had much more in common, Amy and Lori end up being the perfect match for each other. All these characters over time just grow, and their outlook on what life and love mean and should be completely change, and eventually they finally figure out what it really means and what they really want with their lives, and it's very satisfying and beautiful to watch throughout the film. Seeing these sisters find out what the meaning of real love and real life is a completely timeless experience that anyone can relate to. You don't have to be a young girl living in the 19th century to feel for these characters and to try and understand them. The comfort of childhood and the struggles of adult life are something anyone can relate to. There's a lot more to unpack in this film that we just don't have the time to get into, but I would highly, no matter who you are, I would highly recommend watching this film for yourself. It's absolutely amazing, and if you've already seen it, whether you like it or dislike it, you should also just rewatch it. It's really, really good. There aren't many films that anyone can just watch and really resonate with, but I think this is absolutely one of them. And that's all I have to say besides like and subscribe.